What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Motive Zone. My name is Tiffany and I am your host. Thank you for tuning in. We have a special guest in the building. He goes by the name of Broccoli Balboa, aka Brussels Westbrook, aka Veggie Miller, aka Mr. 51 Pounds Down. And he is a vegan influencer, wellness advocate, and podcaster. You can find him on the gram, on social media at broccoli_Balboa. And he's also on YouTube as No Beef, No Broccoli. I'm sorry. Well, No Beef, Just Broccoli. Hello.
There you go. Thank you. Some respect on my name. There you go.
Right. For his videos on herbal remedies and his vegan lifestyle and all that good stuff. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm honored and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for joining us today. As you can see, one half of the Motive Zone is not here right now, but it's okay. A little traffic. He will be here shortly to give you all of his tidbits. Okay. And so I don't know if you know how we do broccoli, but we give a recap of last week.
Okay.
The week before. And so as you all know, Motive Zone fans, we have been talking about anxiety, and we are going to continue talking about anxiety for the month of September. Yesterday was World Suicide Prevention Day. And so we know that anxiety, can kind of snowball into depression, which leads to, which can lead to suicidal thoughts. And so we just wanted to pay a little bit of extra special attention to this subject because sometimes, people just need a little bit more information. And also, we wanted to make sure that we focused on today's episode on the black man and anxiety. So today's episode is called Black Man-xiety. And it's a good subject?
Oh, yeah. It's a good title.
Yeah, it's a good title. Yeah, so we wanted to focus on that because, anxiety is a bit of a taboo subject, especially amongst the black community. And it's something that we don't really talk about. And particularly black men, we don't really get to understand and know the black man's perspective. Like I said, last week we talked about anxiety, and Kevin and I, we kind of just spoke about anxiety from our own personal experiences. And so today we wanted to really focus on, dive a little deeper on anxiety, and particularly as it pertains to the black man. So the motive of the day is going to be you are so as you guys know, we have segments now. So we have a little bit of a little graphic going, a little music going for the segment. And today's segment is called, this particular segment is called The Motive of the Day, as we normally do. And the motive of the day is you are not in control, and it is okay. Everything will work out as it should anyway. And the reason why I decided to make this the motive of the day, because when I did a little bit of research on anxiety, and particularly as it pertains to black men, one of the things that came up is that black men feel as if they need to be in control a lot of the time. And I think that that's the, kind of theme of anxiety. We feel like we're worried about things that are in the future, things that we don't foresee coming, as well as, we want to make sure that we are in control of our surroundings, in control of our emotions, in control of our thoughts. And so that was basically the gist of the motive of the day. And so I wanted to make sure that whoever is listening understands that, even though we want to be in control of every situation and everything that goes on in our lives, there are moments when we really won't have control.
Yeah.
And that is okay because everything will work out as it should. And there's no point in worrying about things that you really have no control over.
Right. I mean, classically, that's what anxiety is. You're worrying about things that you cannot control. That's the classical definition of anxiety. So, in most cases, black men are victim to a lot of things that they cannot control in this society. So, that's what happens a lot of times.
You said victim. That's a.
Well, we don't have to claim victimhood, but realistically, this society is not set up for a black man to succeed or be able to control his environment. That's a basic human need to want to control your environment. Even if you're talking about an animal, the reason they do certain experiments on animals in controlled environments is to model those to see what they can do to humans. You get what I'm saying? Like when you put a rat in certain situations and you're like, okay, let's see how they act out if we feed them certain things, or they do this, they do that. And then you got black men that can't control pretty much anything in their society in America. And we can model that out to the rest of the world, but I think that's what the anxiety comes from.
So.
Sound weird?
I mean, no, it doesn't sound
Okay.
weird, but I have questions.
Okay, go
because
ahead.
I'm not a black man, I'm a black woman.
Right, there you go.
And so we want to, definitely hear your perspective today.
Okay.
Ladies, it's not about us.
Hey, let's do it.
Today we want to talk to the black men.
Let's do it. I'm
And
a black man, let's do it.
yeah. And so you're saying that the world is basically, centered around controlling or oppressing how the black man operates in this world.
Yeah, I would say that. Traditionally, when we came over here, we're just talking about America, right?
Yeah, we're just talking about America.
Black men were demonized before they came over on the boats. How they looked or whatever they were, and then when we got over here, there's a presidential movie born. What is it called? What's that movie that Nate whatever he remade or whatever?
Yeah, that was
Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
Birth of a Nation was a movie that depicted black men as not being able to control themselves in their urges to get white women. Also, you think about Emmett Till. You think about whoever you want to think about traditionally, like castrating and doing things to black men. Our natural instinct as a man would be to protect and provide for your woman. But you can't do that because you live in a society where you're not able to do those things. You can't control your environment. You have no control of your environment. Well, I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to use the word victim or whatever, but that's where a lot of that angst comes from.
So you're saying that anxiety is derived from a place of oppression?
No, I'm saying anxiety is derived from you not being able to control your environment.
Yeah, but not being able to control your environment sounds like you are oppressed. Why?
Well,
why
pretty
is
much, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Historically, black men, black people have been oppressed. So you're
Yeah, there
saying
you go.
that all levels of anxiety derive from a place of oppression.
Yeah. If you want to boil it down to that, yeah. Like you're not able to control your environment around you in no way, shape, or form. A system that is set up for you not to be able to control even your household. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand that there are outliers and people that understand this system, but by and large, like if you think about any system that plagues black people, it's set up for you not to be able to control what you want to do.
Now
You can't operate freely.
Okay, so I can agree on some respect that anxiety, particularly for black people, derives from a place of oppression.
Right.
But, and this is just me just asking questions, do you think that we are, or, black men in particular are kind of living in the past a bit?
No.
I mean, granted, we definitely, black men in particular are still targets.
Let me.
But in all aspects, are you going to tell me that you still have no control over your environment?
That's what I'm saying. There are outliers or people that understand these things. But by and large, the most of us that live in, like, see, there's always a question of, like, why can't black people come up? Or why can't we do this? Or why can't we do that? Yeah, there are outliers. There are communities of people that have, figured it out or passed down wisdom and information about how they get out of their anxiety and angst and things like that. But by and large, most black people in this country, black men in this country, do not understand how to do that. You get what I mean? That's what I'm saying. But it is a system in place in order to make sure that you do not succeed as a black man. That's the reason why the majority of us are locked up or on drugs or, doing certain things. It's not like, like you can, you just come out with a blank slate, just like a white person or somebody that's in their own country. Like this system is set up for you. It's not set up for you as a black man. And also, not to, I understand black women have their struggles as well, but our dynamic between each other is...
Yeah, we're not talking about black women today.
No, but I'm just saying that like I'm not gonna make this like, yeah, like we just so oppressed and fucked up. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah.
All right, I did it anyway. But you know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that, all right, so we talking about like our dynamic between each other. We want to protect and provide for you. You guys want to nurture. That's what I thought it was. I think a lot of people would agree with that, right? But if you cannot ultimately protect, like I can't protect myself driving down the street if a cop come down here. I'm just predisposed to be a criminal. You get what I'm saying? I can't even protect myself if you say, okay, all right, I'm just gonna go to this government to get my assistance from my child. If you're wrong or right, they're gonna believe you first. If I knock you in the head, or allegedly knock you in the head, you call the police, they're gonna believe me first. Believe you first. And that's assistance from that government. I can't control that situation.
Right. And so basically
it's a contact sport being a black man. It's you know what I'm saying? It's a contact sport. It's not like all right, I'm listening to you. I'm gonna shut up.
Okay. No, you don't have to shut up. So my thing is that and we're welcoming Kevin as he sits in his seat.
What's going on, kid?
Say hello to the Motive Zone fam.
Hello, Motive Zone fam.
That's what's up.
I'm coming in defeating traffic, DC traffic. I'm so sorry.
And so just to kind of get you updated on what we're talking about a system of oppression that oppresses black men. And so Broccoli was saying that that's kind of where anxiety is derived from. It's derived from a place of oppression because black men have no control over their environment. And so, I'm trying to understand. Well, I do understand, but at the same time, let's just kind of break it down into layman's terms because I feel like even though, I feel like sometimes we focus on things that we are not in control of. As opposed to right, and I understand what that's what anxiety means, but at the same time, what do we have control over? You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have control over external factors. You don't have control over the government. You don't have control over those things.
It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, though.
I'm not saying that it doesn't exist.
I mean, we're talking about a feeling. So, all those things can be present. Like let's say you're late on a bill. And you have some time to pay that bill before they actually cut you off or something. But you may be worrying and anxious about that because you're thinking about a whole bunch of other things that may influence you not getting that money to pay that bill.
Okay.
So we can't say, I can't say that okay, yeah, we blaming it on it, but it still exists.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still have that pressure on me to,
yeah, I agree. And so, this kind of goes into our next topic, which is real talk. Real talk. What can you say has been? What?
I was was about to get down.
That was smooth. That was
Wait
smooth.
a minute.
I like that. I like that.
You know, I'm an '80s fan.
Wait a minute.
yeah.
Well, okay. We'll get back to that. Okay.
Hey, that was smooth. That was
Real
smooth.
talk.
Yeah.
What would you say? The things on a day-to-day basis. What would you say you experience that you? What would you say has been triggers for you? Like anxiety triggers for you.
I give you a perfect example. I was just coming through the tunnel, and cop lights come on.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did I do?
Right.
I ain't get pulled over, but I'm the next car in the back of this cop in the tunnel. Mm-hmm. Like, oh shit, they about to shoot me. What I do? Like you start thinking about stuff that you ain't did. You know what I'm saying? You ain't even do.
Yeah.
Like it's pressure.
So I'm gonna say
You can't just get pulled over and be like, all right, give me your badge number. I don't answer questions like somebody else. Like,
I mean, but is this a regular occurrence? Like, I mean, not only. I mean,
I'm just saying
listen,
that's a
cop.
situation.
I mean, that's
That's a situation.
that's obvious. You know what I'm saying? But on a day-to-day basis, you. I mean, I don't know if we always see cop lights when we.
right.
When we're going through tunnels or we're just driving down the street, you know what I
Okay.
mean? Like on a day-to-day basis, what would you say is what are your main triggers?
Triggers. I let
Of anxiety.
He
Kevin.
just got him.
Yeah,
I'm not going.
No, I don't know. So I will say.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi. So I will say this. I completely agree with, from what I'm understanding, I would completely agree with Broccoli on this, Broccoli Balboa, on this.
Thank you.
Because speaking as a black man, there is so much pressure, rather it's external or family, job related or not, there's so much pressure put on us, whether we have control over a situation or not. Great example, I was going to talk about what I spoke with my older cousins over dinner this weekend, but great example. So I just had a small panic attack driving here. It was a small one. So I'm grateful for you and your text, because it just speaks so clearly. You said it's not in your control. It's okay. You'll get here.
That was the motive of the day, you guys.
That was the motive of the day. But just to piggyback, this is real talk. So all of my life growing up, I've always been told, Kevin, you got 3 strikes against you. And really people just listed 2 things. You're black and you're a man. And you're in the West. So, well, that's 3. Okay, so you have 3 strikes against you. And so you always have to be better than people of other communities, other races.
Yeah.
You have to strive to be better,
Yeah.
right? So you have to work 10 times as hard, rather a situation is in your control or not. So you know how society always says black people are always late and we're unprofessional or we're unkept. So I always have to work 10 times as hard, even in a situation with traffic, something as simple as traffic, out of my control. You're looking at me strange.
No, I'm thinking. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Something as simple as traffic, and it's not just related to this show. Let's just say I was on my way to work, and I hit morning traffic because there was an accident. And I'm trying to get to work. What I'm hearing in the back of my mind, I'm hearing my mother, I'm hearing my aunts, I'm hearing my teachers, I'm hearing these
stereotypes
voices,
too about
and I'm hearing
yourself.
the stereotypes, and I'm hearing them. As much as I love my family, I'm hearing my mother saying, "See, I told you so. As soon as you walk in that office, all the white people are going to be looking at you. You're the black guy coming in late, and you're doing exactly what they expect you to do. Why can't you be better?" And all I did was, 1 minute, just 1 minute hitting the road, and I hit traffic. Normal thing. Everyone, it happens. But something like that, and I'm in the car panicking, looking at my GPS, trying to maneuver in traffic, not realizing, Kevin, there are hundreds of people on the road, all different skin color, dealing with the same thing, trying to get to work. You're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. But it's a small anxiety attack because I'm trying to be better and I'm trying to defeat stereotypes every single day, where something as simple as fighting traffic is a trigger for me.
See,
Or
another thing about that, I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But you can't control the narrative around you. We don't
Right.
control any industries. We don't control any mass media,
Right.
things of that nature.
Right.
So like I just mentioned about Birth of a Nation, right? So that movie was played in the White House. You hear what I'm saying? It's played in the White House about how black men are uncontrollable around white women. So to set the tone for like the Ku Klux Klan was formed because of that. So it's kind of set the tone for how we view black men. So when we see, like a lot of times when black men get shot on TV or things like that, it's like, what did he do?
exactly.
Instead of he's a human.
Exactly.
I
What
have
did
a
he
question.
do?
I
Yeah.
have a question.
Yeah.
So okay, and I get it. I get it. I get everything that you're saying. You know, you have to, you are replaying I hear what you're saying. You're replaying stereotypes in the back of your head. You're replaying everything.
And something as simple as, even if I'm in a meeting, right, and everyone mispronounces a word, right? Everyone does it sometimes. You get tongue tied. There's something human. The stereotypes play in the back of my head. Oh, you're not good enough. You're not able to speak as well as the other people, and that's a trigger for me
And
too.
that's a narrative created outside of your control. Like,
Right.
a
Why?
lot of this stuff was mass broadcast about what black people are. Other people can control their narratives.
Right. Well, we're talking uniquely about, what I'm saying? Like, why is that? Why are these things? Why do black men internalize these things as opposed to accepting it as like the black experience? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, why is it only uniquely? Like, why do black men only feel like? I'm going to say only, but why do black men feel like as if their experience is uniquely a black man experience
But-
as opposed to a black culture experience?
Well,
Because we are who we are. We're not gonna talk about how you may feel about somebody criticizing like how you dress or something like that. But that is our experience. Like I don't think it's unfair for us to internalize those things because that's what we walk around with. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think that to answer your question, I think that our role specifically, that's why I highlighted our role to protect our family and things of that nature, makes us probably feel more so like I can't. Not that you can't. I'm not gonna make a blanket statement. Some, but not all. Some cases you cannot do that, especially if you live in the ghetto, you live in whatever it is, and like already off the gate. Let's say your father left already. Like you're trying to figure out these things as you go. So some of these things are like, I understand what you're saying, but it's also like, why wouldn't I take it personal? I'm a person.
So,
I'm saying like I'm a person.
so
It's
I
my experience.
So there's some research actually that speaks exactly to what you're talking to. There's
Okay.
questions that grow from that research. So there's reticence. There's a certain reticence of why black people or why black men don't let these things go. Why we internalize. There's a particular reticence of why we don't release. I'm looking at my phone. I don't mean to be rude, America, but I'm looking at my phone because I want to get these names correct. Authors and psychiatrists Alvin Poissant and Amy Alexander wrote the book Lay My Burden Down, Suicide and Mental Health Crisis Among African Americans. And in it they say that there is a historic element that includes slavery, racism, poverty that exists within Black America that holds us back from seeking assistance and help when it comes down to mental health. Number one, in dealing with poverty, you don't have the resources available in your environment, and you don't have the education or the tools to educate yourself available in your environment to form circles to talk about what you're going through. And then number two, when it comes down to racism, let me say this, our sisters, at the end of the day, our sisters are the one that have to deal with sexism and racism. So I'm gonna make a statement that a lot of people aren't gonna agree with. They get the worst. They get the worst. If I were to say compare it to black men experience, black women experience, you guys have to go through racism and sexism daily. What black men, there is a certain male. How do you say a certain male? What's the word I'm looking for? Certain male.
Ego, bravado,
Not ego, but privilege. Because like traditionally in Western society, men are always seen as the head of the family, superior. So there's a certain privilege. So women have to battle both sexism and racism. However, in America and in the Western world, because of the legacy of slavery and colonization, we deal with racism, race and And think about it. You have, as Du Bois says, a people who live in double consciousness. So we have African traditions and Western traditions, African values, Western values. One of those values is the man is supposed to be the head of the family. But if you are fighting against a glass ceiling and you can't provide as much for your family as your white counterparts as a man, you feel less than because you're not following or you're not living according to the proper standards that
or societal rules.
Or societal
and,
rules.
Yeah, things like that.
So think about it. As a black man, I can't achieve, I can't grow, I can't push for greatness because of a certain glass ceiling. And so now, not only is the outside world looking at me as if I'm nothing, I'm not bringing home what I think I should bring home to provide for my family, and now I internalize and think that my family believes that I'm nothing.
Basically, I'm
Right.
nothing outside of this house, and I'm nothing inside this house.
So it becomes a pressure, and society, Western society, even today, even as progressive as we can be, if a man don't work, he don't eat. So when you're dealing with certain issues in the ghetto, where if there's no jobs and no educational opportunity, you can be pushing, but you're making below minimum wage, or you're not making anything at all. You can't provide for yourself or your family. You start to internalize because you start to believe I'm not good enough.
And another thing is, even if you talk about like, okay, so society was set up for the man to be head of the woman. So even if you talk
Western society,
of course. So even if you talk about the 60s, when it came to a point where like welfare was offered and things like this, so a man couldn't even be in the household in order for this woman to receive these benefits.
Right.
So that's another blow
Yeah.
to you being actually a participant in this family structure.
that's why that's
So-
why the elders, not to cut you off, but
No,
I
no,
think
okay.
that's why the elders say, as a black man, you have 3 strikes against you,
Yeah.
because you have the stress of your own culture, and you have the stress of the outside world telling you how to be a man. And if you're not able to navigate, or if you grew up without a father to teach you how to navigate, or if you have no educational tools in your communities so that you can come together as a collective and talk about these issues.
And how likely is that?
Right.
It's very likely.
It's very likely.
Yeah.
Especially in an area like Baltimore. And this is what...
We men, so we talking
Yeah.
about.
I'm listening. I said
You got
this was
questions
not
like-
about
you know
us,
what I'm
ladies,
saying?
right?
Like, you look like you're shocked. Like, oh
but-
shit.
Let me go
No,
back.
I
This
just
is
have a
what-
comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is what Prezant and Alexander say. This is why we don't seek attention, because we feel we have internalized and we don't want to recognize our weakness because we're so tired of the world and our own community viewing us as weak. So there's a part of us that says, I'm not weak, I'm not weak, I'm not weak, I can figure this out. But at a certain point, you're a human being and you can't.
Right, and so I don't know if you were here when I asked this question earlier, and my question was, do you feel like black men are still living in the past because you're still
Yes.
living up to
Yes.
societal standards
Yes.
that were set for you, as opposed to
But I think that's
as opposed to
sorry.
setting your own standard and kind of stating like, you know, this is my story, this is how I feel, this is what I'm going through, this is what we go through, and this is how we're gonna fix it. You know what I'm saying? As far as like anxiety, and I'm not talking about external factors that you have no control over. I'm talking about getting your stories out there and really addressing mental health and emotional issues that you may deal with on a daily basis. And that kind of brings us into new news.
It's amazing about the popcorn.
Yes, we ready? There we go. There we go. Segment 3, we in there, okay?
Yes.
So that kind of brings us into new news because I just, and I'm sure that you have experienced this too, Broccoli. Like, I was doing research and trying to, because when you do research on black people and anxiety, what you
Yeah.
find is that you find a lot of articles and research done on black women.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of enveloped in a whole black experience kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
And you don't really find too much research
You
on
don't.
the black man experience.
You
But
don't.
at the same time, what I was feeling is that the reason why we don't have too much on the black man experience is because black men are kind of stuck in the whole societal mindset of, you got to be strong and you don't say how you feel, and you're not putting your stories out there. You're not giving solutions. You're not putting out you're not doing the research. You're not giving us the data in order to go off of. Black women are known for being more vocal and saying like what our experiences are, and we're kind of like, we put the data out there, or people study us, black men included, what I mean? And so I'm wondering, like, are you living in the past as opposed to, trying to what's the word, make the way for the future, basically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Put the information out there so that people are more aware of what your experience is, because we really don't know.
I kind of don't agree with that.
Okay.
I don't agree with that. Black men are not vocal about the pain or the angst that they go through or what they're experiencing. We have a whole, like, it happens to be damn near the biggest export of America, which is hip hop. Mm-hmm. All of these people are talking about their angst and them not being able to control their own environment, and they acting out, talking about certain things that they actually can control. Mm-hmm. I'm living amongst this other person. I can make more money than this person. That's what that stems from. These people talking about, like how they actually feel. And I don't believe that, black men are just, like that blanket statement, like black men are just not, like we're sitting here right now and talking to you about what's really going on, and we're talking about y'all living in the past. Nah, this is actually what's happening. Like, we had a record number, like not even a record number, but every week you turn on the TV last year, a black man was getting shot on TV.
Right.
Like shot on TV. Mm-hmm. And now it's just like, okay, it's done. It's over with. Like it's nobody cares anymore.
So I feel like, and that's not me being accusatory. I'm just, just kind of doing my own research. I'm like, where's the research going to come from?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that black men are not out there, like you, like you said, there's art. There are ways that black men express their pain, and it's through art. But people are not listening, and I get that. Now, I'm not saying. Wait a minute. I'm not saying that people are not listening.
But they dancing to it and saying like, "Oh man, that's fun. Like that's funny what they're doing."
But I feel like I was listening to a podcast, and it's called hold on, because I gotta get it right. Let's talk, bruh.
I like that.
Okay.
Let's talk.
Who? What is
Let's
it?
talk, bruh.
Okay.
And there are podcasts
really
out
good
here
one.
in the
BRUH?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna check
And
it
it's
out.
a podcast out here in the DC area. I just found out about it. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Let's go.
And so, what I heard, some of the guys on the podcast saying is that, sometimes black men, sometimes, like, talking about these subjects is kind of like, it can be depressing. You know what I mean? It can be depressing. It can be, it can cause more anxiety. And so sometimes, particularly black men, and stats also show it, that black men, they express their frustration, they express their anger, they express their anxiety through ways that are seemingly more fun. Like the stats show that, the ways that black men deal with anxiety, sometimes they, if we're going to talk about the unhealthy things, through, they drink alcohol.
Or smoke weed.
Right? Or you guys go to the barbershop and you guys talk it out with amongst one another, or whatever.
And those conversations really should be recorded.
Right, but
but at the end of the day, this all I'll say about that is that, like, we can't act like this is in a vacuum. Like, men in general don't do this.
No.
But I understand we're talking about black men. We're trying to help black men and things like that. That's what we're doing, right?
Yeah,
There's a reading.
It's not
this
like
is not.
This black men is like.
First of all, we can't even like you said. This is not a vacuum. We can't talk about these things in a 1 hour show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is not like
nobody's figured out in hundreds of years. So.
Right. This is a long conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Racism in one show.
There's a reading called Black Men. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just making a joke.
There's a reading called Black Men and Depression: Saving Our Lives, Healing Our Families and Friends. And this goes to your original question as, are we living in the past? I don't think we're so much so living in the past. I think think our nation is still struggling with the legacies of the past, and we're feeling the effects.
Yeah.
So Many men, this is just a quote, I want to read this. Many men struggle with the idea of being openly vulnerable and sharing their emotions. And for those who grew up as sensitive boys, they are often subject to ridicule and shaming for what they are natural and for what are natural and healthy expressions of emotion. Black men face a unique challenge, and the most of what is most most prized about that they may most prized about them may be their looks and bodies, but really their intellect and emotional intelligence. These things are often deemed too soft for any black man to experience, delivering the message that if you are in any of those things, then you have to change and change fast. So basically what that is saying, so in Western society, black men are more prized for their bodies or for I'm not gonna
Bucks,
mimic
like
their
like a
looks,
bucks,
their
yeah.
bucks, their attitude. But when it comes down to someone who's an intellectual, or when it comes down to someone who's a very sensitive person, and outside the black community, they're just seen as, oh, they're sensitive, they're emotional, okay. But when it comes down to black men, it's you got to change and change quick. I get it all the time. You're too soft. And I say, well, why do you think that I'm too soft? And they say, well, I would have handled the situation like this. But you got to be diplomatic about this. You have to pick your battles. So because I'm not quick to buck and charge, and because I'm not speaking in a particular way, or because I express emotion, I'm seen as very soft, very sensitive. Oh, you have to change. And this is the experience of young black men as they're growing up. They're not valued as much in particular situations for their intellect or for their emotional sensitivity. They're valued for their stature, their looks, and being a man's man. And that affects them as they're growing up, because then they don't want to express when they become of age and can actually talk about what their experience. And then so that's when you get into the lack of data, because I also, and I know Broccoli has too, in our research experienced a lack of data when it came to black men in particular. General African American community, general American community. But when it came down to the data for expressing black men, there is nothing. In fact, that's another question that Prasant presents in the first book about where is the data as it relates to black men and black women. Is there a difference? And is that difference seen dramatically when it relates to our white or Asian or Latino or Latinx counterparts?
Yeah, we don't know because there's no data.
There's no data at
And
all.
so, like,
because people are, well, not people, but men especially, black men, most of us are afraid to express. That's why I said, when you're in the barbershop, the bar at times, hanging out with at your friend's house, the church, the temple, the synagogue, depending on where you fall in the religious spectrum, have um, all been places of meeting in the urban center in the black community, places where you express your political and social opinions, places where you talk about how your day has been and how rough it's been. And in the barbershop in particular, you joke, you laugh because you make it more entertaining, but at the same time, there's some serious conversations that if a social scientist could just sit there and record, there can be so much information that they can gain. But you have to build. That's why there's a cornerstone in the black community, especially with black men. You have to build that space where black men feel comfortable. It's not so much that we're stuck in the past. We're just dealing with what we're feeling. We're expressing ourselves and what we're feeling in our particular environment.
I mean, it's not, it's not been, I agree with what you're saying. So it's not been any healthy ways to, like, properly express yourself. Mm-hmm. But we can't act like this is in a vacuum where we haven't went through however many years of conditioning and things like that, where even outside of that, when we were supposedly free, whoever expressed themselves in a certain way was cast down, or, Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's like we're acting, that we can't like just forget the past.
It's not a light switch. You can't flip it on and
Yeah,
flip it
yeah,
off.
yeah.
We're out of conditioning.
Like if,
now.
if me and you were married and I beat you up for 30 years and I'm just like, forget
I'm
about
gonna
that.
stop that. Right.
Yeah, just forget about the past. Like
Yeah.
that's over with. Like,
Yeah.
why can't you just not be scared around me, or why can't you just not be anxious around me?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
can't
but
just tell you that.
Yeah, I agree with
But
you.
that doesn't excuse, like I said, when you were asking about us being victims or oppressed, I do think that we have a lot more information. We have a lot more access to each other now that we can form these bonds and reach back to people and show them proper ways to express themselves
And deal
not
and
be
cope.
not be victim to the same information. Like this, we have a global network right now. We can talk to each other and really, we have platforms now,
Right.
that we can talk to each other right
And
now
so-
here.
Yeah, I agree. And so, like, me asking those questions was not to like undermine the black male experience. Like,
No.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just, just throwing questions out there
Yeah,
just
of course.
because.
Yeah,
I appreciate
it.
and I get what you're saying. Not to cut you off, but I get what you're saying. You're basically, from what I'm understanding, is it a pattern that we recognize ourselves as victim as opposed to reaching down within and saying enough is enough? We have, as Broccoli Balboa, we have enough material out there where we can form our communities and we can start changing the narrative.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, myself included, we use that phrase, stop making yourself the victim. There comes a certain point, and I do agree with you, Broccoli, but I do think that there comes a certain point where an individual says, okay, the lesson that I'm going to take from the past is, this is what happens when you value money over human life. This is what happens when you look at yourself based off of your ethnic group, your racial group, as superior as to another person. And this is the lesson that I'm going to teach the generation after me so that they don't fall into that pattern. However, I'm not going to allow the past to dictate how well I succeed in the future. And if I need to take like an onion, take back the reps of my own mental health and look to see the root causes of what's going on, then that's exactly what I'm going to need to do. And I'm not going to allow this narrative to make me a victim anymore.
Yeah, but also the reason why I ask those questions is because, and I'm sure we've all experienced it. Like, there's always a black man versus black woman
I hate
narrative.
that.
You know what I'm
I hate
saying?
that.
And so my questions were trying to garner an understanding as a black woman, because I'm like, okay, well, I understand your situation because we have also been through it as well.
Right.
And I understand what, where these things are coming from.
Right.
However, there's always within the black community, black men are deemed this, and within the black community, black men are deemed that. And
yeah.
I'm just like, well, within the black community,
Black women,
within the black community, there are black women and black men. So are you saying that there are black women that are kind of creating this narrative for you, or
let me
wait,
ask you.
wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so are we creating this narrative for you, or I feel like we offer support. I'm not going to say all black women, okay, because I know that some of us are, we kind of feminist or whatever, we kind of demonize black men in some ways, and whatever. As a woman, I can take responsibility for that, but at the same time, I feel like there are a lot of us that are like, listen, we are here with you. We are here. We hear you. We are here supporting you. And I feel like it kind of falls on deaf ears, and black men still kind of, you replay that narrative in your head that you have to kind of live up to these societal standards that we never set for you.
So this is why I'm so glad that I'm a gay man. I'm a gay man, America.
Hello.
So I'm not gonna overgeneralize the LGBT community, and I hate to always push the subject, but I'm glad because a lot of us who are gay men, we're able to sit in the company of women, and we're able to talk, and we can, if we're good listeners, because not all of us are, but if we're good listeners, we're able to hear. And the reason why I love the fact that I'm a gay man is because I've sat in the company of my brown and black sisters, and I've heard of their experience, and I said, you know what? That sounds similar to what I go through. Let me listen into some more. And then they offer, what I see is, back in the days of slavery, how do you destroy a people? You separate the two. You divide them. You put one against the other. The Willie Lynch letter. That's very real. That's very real. And so that legacy still follows today, where you have black men saying, well, because I'm in this position, you don't understand what it is to be a black man because I have 3 strikes against me. And that's very true. We do, because we're fighting society, and we're fighting the inside of our homes. However, we miss the fact that this is a black experience because black women also have sexism and racism to deal with in their community and in the outside world. So there's a value of both of us I don't want to use the term shutting up, but yeah, shutting up and sitting down and listening to one another and understanding that, hey, maybe some of what we go through is related to the male experience, not just black men, but the male experience in the Western world where we have to be in charge and in large and in charge, and if we can't, we feel that. But a lot of this is also connected to what our sisters deal with, because there's a duality. They're women and they're black or they're brown, so they have to fight through a glass ceiling like we have to fight through a glass ceiling. If we understand one another, we can understand that we're in this together, and some things are universal throughout the black experience. They shouldn't be sectioned off. But
Before I say anything, I just have a question, like, just for clarification. Who are brown people?
like Latinx, Asians.
Not that I don't know, but
Right, yeah.
I'm really like, I don't know why that's always...
A separation.
A separation.
No. Why is that always included into what we're talking about? Because they weren't brought over here in slave ships. But I will,
Okay.
I will come up off of that. What I will say is that a lot of times, what you were just talking about, I'm glad that you said something about the Willie Lynch letter. But a lot of times we're pitted against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we're pitted against each other. This is a fight for race and a race for resources. So if I, as a person that's puppeteering this whole situation, can give these certain people resources over here in order to go against the people that are in your same group, and you cannot see that, okay, not taking anything away from women because they do go through certain things, but at the same time, if I can get everything I need from when I protest, I can get what I need done. Why do I need him? That happens a lot of times. You can't deny it. There are women that actually, they're getting everything from the government, or they may be getting everything from, like, okay, I'm just gonna, get with this guy for a little bit, and I don't need him to raise my kids. Like, you had this whole thing where it's like I'm the mother and the father.
The intersectionality, the intersectionality of feminism, basically.
Yeah.
Like, as a woman, especially the feminist movement, especially in the 60s, pushed the idea that as a woman, you don't have to lean and depend on the man in your particular household.
And theoretically, you don't.
Yeah.
But ideally, I think that the family unit is what is everything for everything to work properly. You know what I mean? Like, of course, I can raise a kid by myself. You can raise a kid by yourself. We can keep them alive. But
Right.
like, to actually make a fully functional, balanced human being, yeah, it probably works a lot better if you have a great example of a man and a woman loving each other. A man doing whatever we deem the society now, like I say, protect and provide. I would love for a woman to be comforting and
Loving,
nurturing and things like that,
yeah.
and show that soft side of love. But a lot of times that stuff is pitted against each other, and you can't see. We can't see why y'all mad. Y'all can't see why we mad.
Well, I think what happened there was sort of like, because the original approach to feminism, and I don't mean to get on this topic, the original approach to feminism was, we want to be included in the political and social say of this country in this world. You can't run a society just male dominant voices. But then what tended to happen is that you have this intersectionality of women and then blackhood, or the black experience, women and then the white experience. And so you started to, especially in the 70s and 80s, with the whole push, I don't need. If the man isn't gonna provide, then I can do it on my own. But what white women failed to realize in this movement, they didn't look into the pressures that white women had to face economically and in society, what children
Black women had to face.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as well as their children,
Right.
where a strong family unit would assist in helping them and provide economic security.
Like initially, like, you had a lady like Ida B. Wells who
Yeah.
was running around with these feminist white women.
Yeah.
And then when she went certain places, she would say, no, my black brothers are messed up too.
Yeah.
Then they demonized her.
Yeah.
They demonized her and made her, we ain't gonna help out no more.
Well,
Okay.
First of all, I just want to thank both of you
I appreciate
for
you too.
the introspective, the introspective and interesting and intellectual conversation. But I kind of just want to get into our last segment of the day for our people. I know, like this, yes, cues for our people.
There you go.
But I just wanted to. I know, like, this is a topic that we will, expand upon on a later date. But we are in a time crunch, you guys.
There you go.
As you all know, and as I said in the beginning of the episode, Broccoli Balboa is a vegan influencer and a wellness advocate, and so we wanted to talk about solutions to coping with anxiety. So, Broccoli is somewhat of an herbalist, and we want to talk about some ways that on a day-to-day basis you can holistically deal with or anxiety on a daily basis. So we see that you have some stuff going on over here in the corner.
I'm intrigued.
We're intrigued. We want to know a little bit about what it is that you have and how it can help people who are suffering with anxiety. We have to kind of make it fast. I'm sorry, Broccoli.
Okay, so I'm going to be as fast as I can, so I'm just going to give a blanket statement. All of these are classified as adaptogens. So adaptogens are non-toxic plants that are known to resist stressors and things like that. They're known to be all pretty much kind of healthy. There's no really like toxic interactions with your body.
Right.
That's kind of the classifier for it to be. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay.
Zoom in, see the goodness.
Okay, so this is Vervian. This is going to kind of make you calm down and cool out. Shazandra is going to make you actually uplift your mood. It's called the 5-flavored berry. It's known to actually make you feel better. Ashwagandha, same thing there. But a lot of these have a whole bunch of different modes and things that they do for your life in addition to stressors. So you can't go wrong with adaptogens. They adapt to your body's chemistry and they inhibit stress. Outside of that, I would also say focus on being present and meditating, things like that.
Yes, and we are going to have
That
a
was
whole.
quick.
We would love to have you back, Broccoli, so that we
I would
can
love to
get
be
in.
back.
How can I buy
get
some
in
of
depth.
that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, cool. You can go on any vitamin shop. They're not gonna have it like in this raw herb form like this, but they're gonna have pills or some way they're gonna have them. These are not that uncommon, but you're probably gonna get a pill form, or you're gonna get like a tincture or some type of what is it, drops or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
Or you can go on was it Mountain Rose herbs, and it's plenty of places that sell herbs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty
So
cheap,
if
too.
you are into holistic methods of coping with anxiety or kind of managing your stress, Broccoli just mentioned ashwagandha, organic varian root. We have Vervian roots, Shazandra berry,
There's holy basil right
and
here.
holy basil. They are good for
Tulsi.
helping you manage your stress.
Oh, and just real quick, tomorrow we'll be releasing a video about Go To Cola. That's another one that helps with anxiety. So
Anxiety, and so if you
Brock,
would,
let's go bad boy. Wow.
yes, so if you would like to follow up and see, because he is the father of Herbs Day, which is
yes.
Thursday. So that's Broccoli _Balboa. That is BROCCOLI_BALBOA on
Look at that.
Instagram.
Check him out.
Check him out.
Yes.
His videos are dope and they are very informative, and you will find a lot of information on herbs and the vegan lifestyle that he lives. Just so you know, we are if you could not catch up with us today on the live, we are on YouTube, we are
Yes.
on iHeartRadio, we are on Stitcher, Spotify.
The Motive Zone. Just
Yes.
type it in.
Yes, iHeartRadio. So make sure you follow, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Also, one more thing, we're having a happy hour tomorrow. You know that I am a Casa advocate, and we are having a happy hour at 600
Yes.
T Street from 5:30 to 8:30. So if you are around in the DC area, please come through
Please.
and support the fundraiser. You just come and have some drinks for happy hour. It would be great. They have a live band at 8:30. What else? What else? Okay, we will see you next week.
We love you.
We
Take
thank
care
you
of
for tuning in.
yourself.
We will see you next week,
Yes.
6 p.m. Wednesday, the Motive Zone, and we are out.